Are we ready?
Yep.
Great. All right, everyone. Welcome to our first SLT. It's really great seeing everyone, albeit it's kind of what we ended last year as well, being remote, but it's really, really great to see everyone. My name is Sing Yu. I'm the principal at Stuyvesant, and again, it's really great to bring us all back together. I want to start off, I know we've got a full agenda, but because we've got some different members, I'd like to do some quick intros. If we can just quickly go around just so that everyone is aware of who are the members and alternates of the SLT. And that way we can at least kind of set the stage for what we'll be doing for the rest of the year. But how about we can go around by constituent groups, and I'll call out the constituency groups and we can do a quick intro. All right. So we'll start with CSA. So Casey and Gary.
Hi, I'm Casey Pedrick, Assistant Principal of the School Counseling Department.
Great.
Gary
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Gary Haber, CSA APO.
UFT.
Samantha Daves. I'm the UFT chapter leader and a chemistry teacher here.
I'm Ms. Maggio. I'm a biology teacher here.
Mark Henderson, English teacher at UFT.
Great. And can we also just go with the alternates as well from UFT?
Hey everyone, my name is Miss Brandon. I'm alternative. I'm a school counselor.
I'm Maria Nedwood Eckmore. I'm an AP Bio and Genetics teacher from the biology department. And that's me.
That's great. And then DC 37.
Hi, I'm Denisa Conde. I'm a school aide at Sky.
Great.
Hey, Denisa.
Hi.
All right. How about we move to the parents? We'll save the best for last with the kids, but why don't we go with the parents?
Hi, I'm Alex Schaffer, I'm a PA co-president. Moving into Haing, please.
Hello, this is Haiying Ju. I'm a senior parent.
Thank you. Moving to the juniors.
Hi, this is Tracy Zhang, junior SLT parent.
And moving to the sophomores.
Hi, this is Lancy, 2024 parent.
Thank you. Do we have the freshmen?
I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore.
Yeah, my name is Sophie Zhuan. Nice to meet you all.
Yep.
Hi, I'm freshman parent Qing Liu. Nice to meet you.
I'm Chandra Metzler, alternate parent for the freshman class.
Thank you. And we have a couple more alternates.
Hi, I'm Melissa Lee. I'm an alternate for the sophomore class.
Thank you. And Julie?
Julie Torres Moskowitz, alternate for the senior class.
Thank you. I think
we got all the parents.
Yeah, I think that's all for us for today. Thank you.
Mr. Sunwoo, would you mind just introducing yourself as an alternate for the staff?
Yep. Hi, everyone. Patrick Sunwoo, chemistry teacher, alternate staff.
Great. All right. Why don't we move to the students? Shivali.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shivali Korgankar. I'm the student union president. We're having some connection issues with everybody else's laptops right now, so I'm going to pass it to Nev.
Hi, I'm Nev. I'm a senior and I'm SLT representative.
We have two of our alternates, and Ryan Lee, our vice president, are joining the call right now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jeffrey.
Oh.
Jeffrey, we didn't hear you, but we did get your name. We know that you're the alternate. So, all All right, and I think Kyle and Ryan are also going to be joining. They're in the room right now, so we'll get them connected. Okay, all right, thanks everyone, and welcome to all of you returning as well as new. Again, we want to say thank you for joining the first SLT. Really excited about this upcoming school year. Before we start and before I hand it over to Ms. Maggio as our facilitator tonight, I just want to talk a little bit about the group itself and kind of, thinking about how we're going to work congruently together. Last year was a really challenging year, and I think we actually did a really phenomenal job of raising and servicing a lot of different issues that, again, were a result of COVID and the pandemic, as well as the fact that just things in terms of, I think we all just want to continue to improve Stuyvesant. There are lots of conversations that happened throughout the different meetings, both during the meetings and behind the scenes, to try to make sure that we're moving in the right direction or in the same direction as a school community. I'm really proud about those conversations. I know some of them were challenging and tough, but I think they did really raise some of the key issues that we're continuing to talk about through this year as we're still under these similar conditions. But my hope is that with all the different constituency groups, is the point that we can talk, we can be honest in our conversations, we can be transparent, while also being able to challenge and push one another so that we can continue to make improvements to the school. One of the things that I've said throughout to all the different constituency groups is kind of three things: to be brave, to be curious, and to be kind. And I really want to continue to emphasize that as we work together as a collective group. The SLT does hold quite a bit of weight, and really thinking about how we think about the things that we are going to prioritize, as well as the things that we'd like to see happen over the course of Stuyvesant's existence, and meaning that things that we do over the course of a year ideally will continue to resonate throughout, and again, setting kind of the stage for constant improvement. So as we go through this throughout this year, we're not going to continue to ask, and we need to do this of ourselves, is to continue to be brave, be curious, and be kind as we have these conversations, and to treat one another with the professionalism, even if we may not agree. And I think this is where, again, as a school community, this is where I think Stuyvesant really shines, because oftentimes we're not necessarily all in agreement, but rather we do push one another to excel in the ways that we have. So, as we go through this year and go from SLT meeting to SLT meeting, I'm going to continue to encourage and ask everyone to continue to conduct themselves in that manner, so that we can bring out the best in one, in each other, and move forward as this collective body, and really pushing the school to be the best it can be, or the best version it can be. So I wanted to start with that, and hopefully we'll continue to work as congruently and collectively as we have been. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Maggio, who is going to serve as tonight's facilitator.
Hey everybody, sorry about the mask, but I still have kids in my room. Welcome to SLT 2021. I believe we all got the email from Principal Yu today that has the meeting of the June minutes. Can you guys hear me, or am I cutting out? Okay. If everybody can take a second to look over the June minutes in that email and let me know if there's any changes that need to be made. I'm going to open up the Word doc of that file so that I can make edits as needed. Maybe one more minute, and then if anybody has any changes, you guys can let me know. Oh, good looking out. I was gonna do that next. Sorry, based on the agenda. I will take care of that. Hi, Ying. It is literally our next bullet point on the agenda. Okay, does anybody have any edits or changes that they need to be made to the June minutes? I can't see, why can't I see gallery view? So we can just raise our hands if there's any, if anybody sees any corrections that need to be. Okay, cool. Well, nobody's, oh, Mr. Henderson, sorry, I just saw your hand.
I was just going to move to accept the minutes. Let's do it.
Second, Miss Daves?
Yes.
Since my friends, do we all agree to accept the minutes? Cool, cool. Oh my, yay. Yeah, all right, cool. So the minutes are accepted. Awesome. I will send this to the principal secretary so that they can go out. The next item on the agenda is actually for us to review the dates for the upcoming SLT and to pick up the facilitators and the secretaries for the rest of the year. Since staff, me, is acting as facilitator this year, can I get an admin to act as secretary for the rest of today? Dr. Haber, how you feeling? Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Haber. Before we do the facilitator and secretaries for the rest of the year, though, can we take a look at the dates? I believe there's a question about April and June. So I don't know who wants to talk about this because I don't know what the issues are with those months. All right, Mr. Shaffron, yes, please.
So in terms of dates, there's one, well, actually, even outside of April or June, there are 2 days that are actually conflict for parents. One we can work out. February, we will move one of our meetings. So we can stay with February 8th, but we'll move the executive board. But we're asking to move January 25th, maybe to January 24th, if possible. So it's Tuesday, moving it to Monday.
I can't close the door. Sorry, sweetie. Sorry, guys. Is this okay with the rest of the? Do we need to second this? Is that what happens now? Do we just need to agree?
Yes. We need to come to consensus. Yes.
Thank you.
So
this is why I don't facilitate. Okay, then can we get a consensus to move the January date to January 24th? I don't, cool with me.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, and then April and June, Principal Yu or Miss Ingram, is there, does anyone, I don't know what the issues are here. Or
I can
Samantha?
talk about that.
Perfect,
Hold
thank
on.
you.
So April's a really busy month, and let me just, sorry, try to get some of this really quickly. So in April, we do have, and I want to make sure of this. So the first week we have some parent-teacher conference. We have spring recess the second week, second and third week. It looks like we have the general PA meeting, college fair, spring concerts, and that was why throughout the entire April. So trying to figure out where we could potentially have our meeting, because let me just put this, spring recess starts on Friday, April 15th and extends through Friday the 22nd. So that kind of third week in April is gone. And then based upon some preliminary schedules, we have, let's see this. General PA meeting is, and Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, the 26th, April 26th. It's not.
No, the general PA meeting is actually in April, on April 11th.
Okay. All right. Well, then that might change. I could change things. Okay.
So, well, I mean, technically, both the 12th and the 26th are open from the parents' perspective.
Open from the UFT perspective.
Great. All right. So I think, let me see.
I'm sorry, April 26th was the date we just said?
Yep.
Thank you.
Does April 26th work for everyone?
Yeah, it works for the students as well.
Just so you know,
Even the 37, it works very good.
right before my birthday.
Right before mine, so.
Right before my kid's birthday.
Okay, June.
Just with the June, whether we do it earlier or later is really the question. Last year we had it, I think, on the 7th. So just trying to figure out what date might work if we're doing it earlier.
Would Monday, June 13th work? Because 7th is a clerical day, and later that week, I think there are other things. And then Tuesday, the 14th is the PA general meeting. So the proposed
13th.
date is June 13th, Monday, June 13th.
I would give special consideration to this, to the juniors, to the students, given that's probably the peak of their.
Regents start on, assuming start on the 15th. So let's see.
I was going to say I would prefer if we did it the same week we did it last year, which was Tuesday, June the 7th.
We could do a Monday, maybe, if that
Monday.
interferes with,
Yeah.
the 6th.
Yeah.
The 6th. Yeah, Monday the 6th is fine with parents as well.
I think it works on our end as well from what I. Okay. 6/6, which is a Monday.
Okay, so just to be clear, I'm gonna read down the dates for the rest of the year and we can just confirm, and then we'll confirm them all at the end. I have October 26th, November 23rd, December 21st, January 24th, February 8th, March 29th, April 26th, May 24th, and June 6th. Yeah?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So we're now going to need to pick the facilitators and the secretaries for each of those days. So for the October, and I'm going in the same order as we had them rotating last year. So with an administrator doing secretary this time, we need an administrator to be a facilitator for the next meeting. Ms. Pedrick? Anybody? I can't see you.
Yeah, Casey said
Oh.
yes. Ms.
Oh,
Ms.
thank you,
Pedrick said
sorry.
yes. Ms.
You're
Pedrick
not
said
my
yes.
screen. Okay, so, and then parents, can I get a secretary for October?
I can do that. See Sophie
Thank you,
here.
Sophie. Sophie's here. Can I get a parent to be a facilitator for November? Alex, is that you?
Miona can do it.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Miona. And SU representative to be secretary?
I can do that.
Thanks, Shivali. And then we need a student representative to be an facilitator for December.
I can do that one.
Thanks, Nev. And then a staff for secretary.
I'll do it.
Thanks, Sam. All right, staff to facilitate. Mr. Henderson, how you feeling?
When is that? I'll do it. But when is it?
January. And then another administrator secretary. Dr. Haber, is that just your favorite job ever?
I do find it an honor and I actually do enjoy it. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Haber. Admin for facilitator in February. We're almost done, you guys. We're so close. Ms. Doc, Principal, do you want to facilitate it?
Sure, sure, I can do it.
Cool. All right. And then parent secretary for February.
I can do it.
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay, so Lindsay, I got you because that's whose name who showed up in my screen. And then I need a parent facilitator for March. So who else spoke up that I missed?
I can do that.
Thank you, Sophie. Perfect. Students, secretary for March.
I can take that.
Who is that? Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. Student facilitator for April. Just saying, my birthday week. Be good, guys.
I can do that.
Who is that? Thank you, Shivali. We are so close. Staff secretary and April. Man, I guess I can do that. Staff facilitator in May. Oh, actually, or UF or DF or DC 37. Denisa, would you like to be a facilitator in May?
Definitely.
Awesome. Thank you. And then an admin secretary is Dr. Haber again. We love you. Admin facilitator, we'll just do Miss Pedrick. Love you for June. And PA is our last secretary.
Yeah, I can do the secretary. This is
Thank
Hai.
you. Thank you, Hying. Yay. All right, we're all set for the year, y'all. Thank you. All right, so next on the agenda. I lost it. Oh, I think we need to choose the new chair. Oh, actually, no, I lied. Discuss meeting requirements as per public meeting guidance. That's, I
Yeah.
think you, Principal, you.
Yep. Thanks, Marissa. So just as, you know, this year has been, we're continuing to get ongoing guidance around what the requirements are in terms of holding or upholding the public meeting law. So we got a last minute update, which is we originally were going to do this in person, but there's some kind of ask in terms of making it accessible. So essentially, we made the decision for today to be remote to try to accommodate as many people and to try to meet some of the guidelines. But what we have to start talking a little bit more about is, again, you know, how to move forward. The key thing to take in mind here is that we're not set up just yet for a hybrid, which is why, again, we decided to go full remote today. We're working on trying to create that where we could, you know, have some in person and for those who can make it, and then those who might want it remote, while also taking into account, you know, making it available to the public as well as recordings. And so that's what we wanted to make sure you were aware of, and then for us to be able to talk a little bit about this. We don't know when we can get the hybrid set up. We'll be working with the PA and looking at our own setup to see how we can, you know, kind of create the environment that allows us to be able to do partial remote, partial in person, if that's the route we go. But in the interim, I think it's important for us to figure out how we'd like to proceed for the, you know, for October, assuming that we don't get everything set up before then. So before we move on, I don't know, Miss Ingram, Miss Ingram's also been working on this. Is there anything else that I missed around the guidance?
Do you want me to share the screen of the points that are up for discussion for the SLT?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay, just give me 1 minute. So this is the memo sent to CECs and SLTs that are describing the governor's open meetings law and the explanation. There are some points to consider. You are not mandated to have virtual meetings or in-person meetings, but there are some things that you may want to consider in just discussing going forward, whether you'd like to continue to have virtual or in-person meetings, and what to consider if you're going to have hybrid meetings. So if you do want to have in-person meetings, you would have to afford the opportunity for those who are remote to participate. So, you know, just for your discussion going forward, there are some bullet points there to think about, just where you would have the meeting, as Mr. Yu said, considering the number of people that would participate. And then, as Mr. Yu said, we're not really set up yet. So those are some things in-house that we have to consider. And then also just facilitating the meeting. And I guess you would have to, as an SLT, discuss what you'd want to do as far as video or audio, and whether you want to be remote or in person, and how that would be considered going forward to offer the opportunity for everyone to participate. And I do believe this was shared with the agenda, so you all have this guidance as well to read thoroughly. And that's it. If you just want to take a look at that, and then you can have your discussion. I think Alex has his hand up, Mr. Chaffin.
Alex, do you want to ask?
Yeah. No. I just wanted to comment. It feels that it may be. I just wanted to suggest that given that we have some people and there's a current investigation or kind of current research to how this will be set up and what the options are. I wonder if it makes sense to agree that the next October meeting is still going to be virtual, but to learn more from what the future setup will have to offer, and then depending on that, bring that back to SLT and give the SLT members opportunity to make a decision, knowing what and how the virtual options will look, or the hybrid option will look.
Samantha?
I would like to support what Alex said. Our second SLT is coming up very, very soon. We also need to give public notice 10 days before. We really need to research what we need to do, because one possible solution would be that you could have something that is in a conference room, but it has to record audio and video and allow other people on the other end to join the same Zoom, as well as to do this via a webinar where we can have people observing that we can promote to panelists, and it needs to be recorded. So there are quite I've looked at this, I've looked at some, a couple technology setups, and it's gonna just take time and some money, and so I don't know if necessarily it'll be ready to go. And we can commit 10 days before the next meeting. So remote next time and explore options.
And then Mr. Henderson.
I was just going to say, well, two things. First, I think that there's a real value to going remote in some ways. I mean, one of the things, especially in terms of parents being able to be part of these meetings, like there's just so many more of them. Even if we go hybrid or whatever, eventually, I do want to make sure that it does seem like a good thing to have more people who can be involved. The other thing is, if we are remote next time, and perhaps even going forward, could we go back to having a later meeting? I'm sure there's reasons not to, but for me and for the other staff, it would be nice to be able to go home and to, I don't know, the end. It would be nice to be able to go home and have a 5 o'clock meeting.
Yeah, I think the students agree with that sentiment.
Samantha?
Yeah,
Ms.
I mean,
Daves, sorry.
I think that this particular time was chosen thinking we would be in person, and we didn't know that this was coming in our, the inbox, the information on a Friday. So I think that is certainly something to consider, Mark.
So right now it seems like two things are on the table. One, for at least October, that it will continue, it'll be remote, and unless there's disagreement about that, I think what Mr. Shaffron said is a good approach. Let us do some research and then come back. But October will be a remote meeting. The question right now is whether or not we move the October meeting to what we did last year, which would be from 5 to 7. And so right now it's either 3:45 or 5 o'clock. And so I want to put that out there.
My only concern about having to get the 5 o'clock meeting is that, like, for students who have after school activities that day, or for people who are faculty advising, if they're like have a club that day, then they won't be able to get home by 5 o'clock. So that just might be a wrinkle, or we just don't have clubs and pubs that day for the people who are on SLT.
Do the students have a thought about that?
I mean, all things considered, like I would agree that going home like after 5 o'clock is not the greatest option. And given that that we're here and avoiding or not avoiding, but using this as instead of other extracurricular time, I think it's fine that we just have meetings at 3:45.
Do we need to do a vote? Or Miss Daves?
Yeah, maybe we just take a straw poll, just an informal, and I think maybe one of the options should also be it doesn't matter, and just see where the sentiment is.
But I think we are all agreed online for the October, unless otherwise told. Okay.
So someone said, are we doing the poll now? Or is it the recommendation?
I guess as I was recommending for Marissa to ask how many
Okay.
would be, how many
Okay.
people they don't have an opinion, how many people are in favor of 3:45 and how many people are in favor of 5? And not a binding vote, but just to find out where we are, to see if we need a vote.
How many people would prefer 5 p.m.? Yeah, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many people would prefer 3:45? 1, 2.
Let me just do that because I can get home safely.
And then how many people have no preference? The 5 o'clocks win, my friends. Okay.
This is just for October, correct?
That was a very close vote. I don't think that's consensus, right?
Okay,
I don't think it is either. And so what were the numbers, Marissa, again?
So it looked like 6, 4, and a bunch of no votes or no opinions. Yeah, there's a lot of either one is fine with me.
So we could ask the no opinions to pick one and then revote. Sorry, I should have raised my hand. I apologize.
No worries. I actually forgot to go through the norms for the online meetings. That's a thing right now. So you want me to do that again? Yes. Okay, one more time, my friends. This is, sorry, Sam or Principal Yu, should I, since we're all coming to this meeting, should I include the alternates, or is it just the seated members that we need to get consensus from?
My understanding, it would be the seated members that you would get consensus from.
Sorry, this is why I don't facilitate, because I forget all the rules. Okay, well, so one more time, if we have a preference for 5 o'clock, can I get a hands? So 5 p.m. we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, so I got 7. 5 p.m. Preference for 3:45. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, now it's more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then a whole bunch of undecided. So I say 7 to 5. Can we go with that's enough? Principal Yu?
We'll go with that. It's just for October, and then we can kind of reassess again if that works for everybody.
Perfect. Okay. Whew. Are we done with that's the end of that bullet point? Yes.
Sorry, I'm sorry. What was the decision? I just missed it. 5. Okay, thanks.
And remote.
Okay, so moving on to next bullet point, 25:30. We're like almost on schedule. we need to do a selection for the SLT chair for this year. So as a general reminder, for our online virtual meetings, I normally send this to the facilitator before we start. Please remember that to raise your hand before, if you wish to speak, and the facilitator today will be me. We'll call on you. Please, I know that please try to remember that not to use the chat, because we want to make sure that we're hearing from the seated members first, and then if there's time within the budget allotted on the agenda, then I'll call on the alternates. Yeah, I think that's everything for the general consensus. For the general observation. So I open the floor. Does anybody wish to make a nomination for chair for this year? Shivali?
I would like to nominate Mr. Henderson.
Yay. Okay. Tracy, Ms. Sang?
How about I nominate myself?
Denise,
I
is your
follow
hand,
Tracy.
is your
I
hand
follow
full?
Tracy.
Okay, thank you, Miona. So you second me, you second Tracy. Denise, is your hand up from before?
Yes, I'm sorry.
No
I took
stress,
it off.
no stress. Mr. Henderson?
Shivali and I had talked to each other maybe about sharing the chair, that she and I would share the chair. And I know that we haven't had students involved in doing it in a couple of years, but I actually think it would work pretty well. And that, you know, she and I have both, you know, been in these meetings for a couple of years now. So yeah, so we talked about maybe co-chairing, if that's something that people are amenable to.
But for last 2 years, teachers has been to be the chair. So maybe this year, it's parents' turn to be the chair. So if Tracy herself volunteer to be the role, I think that's should encourage that.
I'm gonna raise my hand. I'm gonna call on myself really fast. The students in the past had been roles as facilitators, as chairs in the past and secretaries in the past, and that they were given that position as a whole. And the reason why that stopped a couple of years ago was because for many of the students, and this might not be true for Shivali, but for many of the students in the past, they ended up becoming overwhelmed with their work and weren't able to follow through with their duties as facilitators. As chairs. And it became an issue to the difficult in communication. So 2 years ago, when this had come up, we had discussed how for the students, we had wanted them to focus on their studies and as members of the SLT, but that the chair positions would stay for the adults. I'm just going back to a history for those people who weren't present at the time. And if other people, teachers or admin who were present at the time want to talk to this, but I know that there had been issues with communication and with getting documents in on time. And so that was why that was not a thing anymore. So if somebody else wants to add on to that, Shivali, I see your hand up, so you can go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't speak for what's happened with previous student chairs, but I would be more than happy to co-chair with Mr. Henderson. And I think having 2 chairs would hopefully solve that problem. I'd also, if there are any issues that we're specifically concerned about with having a student chair, I'd be happy to go over that with Principal Yu or Ms. Maggio. If there were any specific concerns that kind of stuck with you over the years, I would be really, I would look forward to being co-chair with Mr. Henderson, and I think I'd be able to do the job well.
Risa, I think you are on mute
You're muted.
Yeah.
all this time. Yes.
Shane Wu, was I talking the whole time? You heard me before though, yeah?
Well, before Shivali spoke, yes, we did.
Okay, good. Ching Liu?
Yeah, so I really think parents should have a chance to do the chair this year. Since the last 2 years, it has been teachers. Thank you.
And then I saw another hand, Miona.
I will thinking the parents should have the chance to be a chair for this year. Since the last 2 years we had like a teacher as the chair, and also for the student, I think I think they should focus on the study because like the student complain about the homework is like too much, and I think that would be better they focus more on the study instead of the chair. Thank you.
Yes, Miss Sophie?
Hi, I would like to say, first, I would like to thank Chevalier for her willingness to take on this job. And also, I would also recommend that we have a parent as a co-chair because we have a good number of parents, in this SLT committee. So I would say it makes a lot of sense for parents to be one of the co-chairs on this committee. Thank you.
Ms. Zhang, oh, sorry, Miona, can you put your hand down for me? Thank you. Ms. Zhang?
Yeah, I'll speak for myself. I think the reason I'm volunteering myself is I think chair is a big job. There's a lot of coordinations, hearing from different sides of opinions, collecting all the agenda items, just to get all the materials out on time, collect, work with the facilitators, even, looking at the minutes, all these. Yeah, so I think I'm ready for take on this, so that's part of it. And then I think, it's just, it's easier for me because as a parent, we are very closely connected with teachers, with students, and of course with other parents as well. So that was why I'm very happy to do it. Hopefully I have the chance.
Principal Yu?
Yep. Thanks. I just want to say from a principal perspective, I don't have a concern with the student being a chair or co-chair. I think, thinking a lot about the learning from all of this for whoever is decided to be chair. But I think, as our students have shown, at least in this group that I've seen so far, that if this is something that they believe they can do, then I have no concerns from the principal perspective.
Nev?
Yeah, I would also like to lend my support to Shivali and Mr. Henderson. I think that I've worked closely with Shivali for the past 2 years in SU, and I know that she can get more than what is required of her done every single night. And I don't think that there would be any issue with her not being able to complete her duties as chair if she were to become one. And I think that the reason why they entered into this co-chair agreement was so that Shivali could have, an adult who's making sure that she is, ensuring that she's responding to all of her duties as chair. And I think that Mr. Henderson was one to propose the idea. And I think that Shivali and Mr. Henderson, if they both agree to it and they both are excited about it, I think that it could be a really great opportunity. And I would like to lend my support to the student and the parent, student and teacher chair, co-chair partnership.
Ms. Zhang, your hand's still up from before, correct? Mr. Henderson?
I was just going to say, if Shivali and I did it, she would obviously be the one who is, competent at things. So, I think there's no question of the student's competence. I am curious, sort of like what the duties are, and whether there are advantages to having. I know in the past we talked about advantages to having somebody in the building to handle like the administrative stuff. That was important. Is that still the case these days, Ms. Maggio, or whoever is sort of? And I know we've had in the past, we've definitely had parents co-chair as well. Like a couple of years ago, we had a parent co-chair. So how should we be thinking of whether it's important to have somebody within the building or not?
I mean, we weren't in the building last year. So last year it was a matter of coordination and planning. I think the principal can answer that. I'm not really sure what you're asking there because we weren't in the building at all last year.
It is, and quite frankly, just last year was a really unique year. But I think Ms. Maggio is correct in the fact that there is a lot of coordination. Both now we have a new principal secretary. who's fabulous, and as was Natalie. But trying to coordinate with them, as well as all the different constituent leads to make sure we're getting, any agenda items. So I think from that perspective, it was just when Ms. Maggio was chairing last year, she often would come and speak with me, and then we'd be able to make sure we're moving things out. So, I mean, I think in some ways there is an advantage being in the building. That's not to say it can't necessarily be done, if you're not, but I think there has been value, at least it was last year, particularly when, again, just trying to make sure we're moving and getting things out and coordinating within the building.
Dina, that would be lovely if you could put the duties up on the screen. Thank you for asking.
Give me 1 second.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Ju? Ms. Ju? I'm sorry if I said that wrong.
Yeah, and if we cannot, each side have the reasons, I can see that, and I agree with some of the. So how about take a, I think take a rotation is more important, because we also want to maximize the participation, because the SLT chair is
I think is it just me? Or
this
did we
year
lose?
it's better for parents to get more involved and to be taking this important role and to contribute more. Thank you.
Sorry, Miona.
I mean, since the teacher, student, and parents, they both they all want to volunteer as a chair. How about I suggest that we should have 3 people as a chair, co-chair at this time? Is it possible?
The issue, I mean, anything's possible. I think the main issue with is just the more people you have, the more difficult it becomes to coordinate and streamline. And so that was the main reason last year why I had just preferred to work alone, was because there was so much to do and it was so much emails, and having to split that with somebody else and then keep everything streamlined just would have been impossible on top of all of the other emails from remote. I think that this year is much more, and I already have like folders of everything that I made last year and organized, and the emails that go out to facilitators and secretaries. So I kind of have everything already organized and laid out. That should make it easier. I think the idea of a co-chair is excellent this year, to going back to that system. I just think it's, last year was just a very, very, very odd year, which is the only reason why I'd asked to do it by myself. So I don't see anything wrong. I just think once you get to 3 or more, then it just becomes impossible to keep track of everything and who's talking to who and who's receiving emails and has it been shared out. And so I think 2 would be the optimal number in this situation. That's just my input from having done it for the last year.
So since we cannot make a decision, like 3 sides, they all want them to be a chair. So like last year is a teacher. So how about this year as a parent? Then next year we we take turn. It just like take turn. So we don't have to argue who wants to be or who should not.
Okay. Alex, sorry, your hand's been up for a while. I apologize.
Yep. No worries. I think we're in the best possible situation ever. We have multiple constituencies that want to help and move this forward. This is the best scenario any school could ask for. So I think having Chevalier and Dr. Henderson doing it, and a parent doing it, and Tracy's doing it, this is terrific. So I really like to support the proposal that Haing put forward, which is let's break the year into half. The first half is done by, let's say by Dr. Henderson and Chevalier, and the second half is done by Tracy. And I fully support that 3 is just way too many. It's just too, Marisa makes perfect sense. It's just too much coordination.
Haiju? Haiying Ju. I just keep making up names for you. I'm really sorry about that. Did you go already, or is your hand? That's still up from before? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No?
Chandra's next. I think Chandra's next.
Well, Sophie is next
Oh,
because it's
okay.
still the,
Sorry.
yeah, no worries. Sophie, what's up?
Yeah, okay. I just want to reiterate what I said before, okay? I think when I look at the list of the names on this, for this meeting, right? I would say parents, the number of parents take a significant portion on this list. So unless parents, none of the parents is willing to be the co-chair, but if one of the parents is willing to be the co-chair, I think they should be given the priority. This is just my opinion.
Diwali, what's up?
Very last thing I'm going to say, on that same note that Ms. Wong just brought up, if we look at the breakup just between parents, teachers, and students, I want to be aware of the fact that students make up a very small portion of the SLT. And so one of the reasons I'm enthusiastic to be the SLT chair is because I think it gives students a very important opportunity to have a bigger voice in SLT that I feel in previous years we sometimes haven't been able to. So yeah, that's just background as to why I've wanted to be SLT chair with Mr. Henderson.
Mr. Henderson?
Okay. I actually agree with Alex that, first off, thank you, Alex. I dropped out of grad school. I don't have a doctorate. But the idea that so many people want to do this is unthinkable 2 years ago, and it's great. So that's awesome. I would love to see Shivali do this. I do not need to, I mean, I can help her, but I do not need to like be an official chair. And I am wondering if it would be if anybody would go along with having, you know, a student and a parent chair, which, you know, can certainly happen with the understanding that like Shivali is my student and I can help her however she needs. If there are times when she needs help, somebody to step in. Would that work for people?
Principal Yu?
Yeah, I just want to, again, we have the responsibility of the chair. And I think it's important to understand that the goal of the chair is to help make sure these meetings are facilitated or supporting the facilitator and running a fair meeting. There isn't more power than anything else because ultimately we are working with all the constituency groups. I completely agree. I think this is phenomenal that we have so much interest. I do agree. Would love to see a student if that's Shivali, and then maybe she's the constant, and then we have a parent and a teacher as suggested by Mr. Shafran. We don't know what's the perfect rotation. We'll find out. But I do want to just make sure everyone's aware that the chair doesn't hold any more power besides helping make sure these meetings run as effectively as possible. And that's my job as a principal to make sure I'm supporting the chair and making sure that happens as well, in addition to the facilitator. So let's just make sure when we look at the responsibilities, we're focusing on that. And again, being representatives of all the different constituency groups who essentially we are speaking on behalf of when we're in these meetings.
Okay, I'm going to call on the two alternates whose names are up. Chandra?
Sorry, it's actually just a question for you, Ms. Maggio, which is, what did you find to be the most useful skills to have as the chair? And what did you find to be the biggest challenges when you were chair last year? Because I think that would help inform people's decision-making a little bit since you've done it.
So organization and communication were just really the most important, making sure that everything that was needed to be communicated was being communicated, that all of the information that needed to be collected was collected in time and then transferred to the principal. So it was lots of like emails and then reminder emails when things weren't coming in, and then getting that to the principal, and then having conversations with the principal about like what we had time for and the history of what's been on these agendas in the past, and how long things take, and getting the agenda together, coordinating and collecting like the minutes from the previous meetings. I mean, it's just lots of like tedious small things that like make up the chair's responsibility. But like ultimately the biggest job of all is like remembering to send out the emails to the heads of the main constituencies to collect agenda items, sending those recommendations to the principal, and then because then ultimately he chooses from that list what we actually talk about. So like we're just collecting the information and sending it off. As every constituency who emailed me last year can vouch, like lots of agenda items come in, but they don't all make it to the SLT agenda because we're just collecting recommendations for what needs to be, for what we would like to hear talked about. The biggest difficulties I had last year were just with not following the spirit of the SLT at times. And so not working within our own constituencies and kind of going outside of those boundaries, which made things very uncomfortable and difficult work situation to be in. So hopefully that won't be a situation again this year.
Okay, that's super helpful. Thanks.
You're welcome. Julie?
Hi, yes, I was just going to say I appreciate listening to all the ideas. I thought Alex Schafran's idea of, I'm just wondering if Shivali could be the constant and then it's split between teacher Henderson and then a parent, Tracy, and have Shivali as a constant. I love seeing students step up as leaders, so I like that idea. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Tracy?
Yeah, I just want to say I like that idea to, I fully support to have a Shavana has the standing, and then, if that's the case, me and Mr. Henderson will be very happy to work with her. I have no problem with it.
And then Lanzi?
Yes, so I also agree that we wish the students get involved in this, but the whole school year, it's a huge commitment. Like I would suggest break it in half or in quarters, maybe quarters too much, but half maybe. Yes, the whole year is a lot of work. Just heard, Ms. Maggie is talking about all the like tedious work. That's it, yeah.
Alex?
A couple of comments. Love the idea of Shivali partnering with folks for support and engagement. And I also want to assure, I guess, all constituencies that the way we, for example, worked last year is really before every single meeting, every single one, basically Samantha and Julian, Shivali, and myself, we all had an opportunity to equally contribute to the agenda and stress our points to Principal Yu. So we do have our voices. One important thing to keep in mind is, and this is where actually I like the idea of maybe co-presidency or co-chair in this case, is you have some difficult situations when you need to manage the meetings, and sometimes you have to interrupt people. Sometimes you have to sternly remind people about certain things. And Ms. Maggio managed this beautifully, but that's a skill you kind of develop over time. And I think this is an awesome opportunity for Shivali to, to try to experience that and being supported by either a teacher or a parent. So I think this is a great idea. So maybe it's time for us to put it into motion, which I'm happy to do.
Okay. Denisa?
Yes, I wanted to say that I totally agree about Shivali opinion and decision and the thing she said. I'm sure that she will get a very good hand from the parent and Mr. Henderson. So I'm totally fine with that. If she gets choose, it will be great. It's about the student most of the things. So
Okay, so Mr. Henderson?
I want to make sure that if we end up splitting it this way, that Shivali's on board. Because the rest of us have sort of talked about it. Shivali, is that all right with you?
Yeah, this works with me. I'm fine with splitting the year in half and kind of serving as the constant between the 2 semesters. That sounds good to me.
Great.
So do we want to make a motion for Shivali and Mr. Henderson to be co-chairs for the fall and Shivali and Ms. Zhang to be co-chairs for the spring? Okay, can we get a vote? You guys put the hands up button just so I can count easier, y'all. 2, who's missing? You have to, it looks like everybody agrees. So we are all over this, y'all. Congratulations to our new chairs. I will send you guys tomorrow a link to the folder so that, and then I'll share the emails that need to go out. Mr. Henderson, if you want, we can sit down for a few minutes and walk through it, and then you can share it with Shivali.
Sure.
Cool. All right. Updates, principal.
Great. Thanks, everyone. And again, appreciate the conversation. Excited about the co-chairs, both, front end and the back end. And again, I just want to echo something that Mr. Chaffron said, which I think is exactly right. The chairs, their job is to represent their constituencies and working closely with the constituency leads, whether it's the UFT chapter leader, whether it's the PA president, whether it's the rest student union and the other students. So it's really important that, again, this will be a learning opportunity, and I am excited about, clearly Shivali, learning a lot, but same thing for us as the adults. Let's not assume that we know how to do this really better. So again, I think this is a great opportunity for all of us to increase the communication as well as move forward. So congrats to all 3 of the chairs. So 2 things. I'm going to talk a little bit about just some key updates, and then also I reached out to Ms. Daves, Mr. Chaffron, and Shivali around giving some updates from their constituency groups, something we haven't necessarily done. I think it's important, just again, to make sure things that are being raised or focused on from each of the constituency groups also have an opportunity. So a little bit different tonight, so I won't be doing as much talking. Quickly, from the school side, it's been roughly about 10 days, I think, close to 10 days that we've been in school. And again, I think I'm really just pleased with, that we've reopened. We're getting the vast majority of students in the building, and we've been as safe as we can be. That's all contributed to, or can be attributed to everyone doing their part. I know this question around vaccination rates in the school. I'm not disclosing that yet until I know that I can make that publicly available. But what I will say is this: we should be extremely proud of what we've done individually and collectively. I know I am very, very proud of that. And when we can make it more public, I will make sure I make that available. Additionally, we've been working closely with Ms. Daves and the rest of the staff, particularly around the mandates around the DOE employees. We are working closely with all of the different staff members, whether it's cafeterias, help, to safety agents. We're having to make sure that we're following with protocols and ensuring that we have enough personnel, which at this point looks like we're moving in the right direction, so that we can continue to make sure that everyone stays safe, the security of the school and focus continues to be at the forefront. So far, everything is moving in the right direction. We continue to get different guidance on a daily basis, so we apologize to everyone that they're changing as frequently as they have. We're hoping that it will settle down, but again, thank you for your flexibility and understanding, particularly as we go through the first few weeks of reopening and again, some of the juggling a few things. But just to take note, again, we're following the layered approach around safety, from vaccinations to universal masking to the health screener, and that's for all students, staff, and visitors who come into the building. We continue to ensure that we're double checking on our ventilation, making sure that there is as much fresh air, keeping the dampers open. We've gotten some more air purifiers. We got some large ones for the cafeteria, but I just want to take note, the cafeteria also gets the most fresh air because that is all fresh air coming in and out, which has some impact on the temperature. What I will say is this, we have to start planning for what it's going to be like when the weather gets colder, but that's also going to bring in other conditions that we have to continue to work with the Department of Education and our entire school community about how we're going to be able to mitigate some of these issues that we know are on the horizon. But please know, as we're figuring these things out and understanding, more about what are all the different safety protocols and security protocols that we can follow, we will continue to update accordingly. And then the last thing I just want to say is I know that we've been putting out quite a bit about trying to retransition back in, whether it's about the social emotional learning, whether it's policies, all of those different pieces. And the thing that I want to emphasize is, as we're coming back in, there's a lot of learning that we took from last year. There's going to be a lot of learning as we're coming back in. There's not a blueprint about what, as a community, we faced last year and then how that comes back in smoothly into the school year. What I will say is this: it has been nice to see students and staff interacting. And I think as we continue to kind of come back in, the goal isn't to go back to, business as usual, but rather to learn from what we, experienced last year and the ways that we can continue to improve. We did make some adjustments around policies, as well as trying to make sure we're emphasizing student experience. It's going to take a little bit, and it's also working with everyone to make sure these adjustments are happening. What I will say is we've asked a lot of our staff, we've asked a lot of our students, we asked a lot of our parents to work in congruence around making these adjustments. And again, the focus here is we're trying to maintain high achievement at Stuyvesant, which we are known for and will continue to do, while also trying to balance that out with making sure young people have a great experience. And that's some cultural shifts that we're going to have to take a look at. The focus will be around quality. And again, it's not going to happen overnight, but continuing to think about ways that we make these improvements around what we're asking young people to do during the day, after school, at night. And again, it's a big lift for the staff because they're also having to make adjustments. I'm really proud about the things that we've asked of them. And I know they'll step up and that they continue to do so, as well as with the students and the families. We will continue to have these conversations as we go throughout the year around the things that need to be adjusted. So things that we have put in motion doesn't mean that it won't potentially change. It means that we're going to learn from it and continue to have these open conversations around the things that essentially can help us continue to improve. And then finally, again, it's I can't believe we're already having our first SLT, and we're in the throes of this new school year. But again, as many challenges as we've faced over the course of this year and a half, to actually having everyone theoretically being back in the building, I think is a huge, huge accomplishment. We're trying to be as safe as we can be for everyone, but it really has been what people have told me the building is like when there's all this energy and students and staff interacting. I've seen, even though there's a little bit of trepidation, I think there's a lot more excitement about the fact that we're back in person. And I think that's really the most exciting thing. And the goal is to stay open and continue moving forward. And finally, last year there was a PowerPoint, some recommendations from families, and I keep this in my head. We're trying to do everything we can to say yes to all the different opportunities. And if we have to say no, it's because we've exhausted everything that we could. But please know that we're trying to say yes, and again, to try to make sure the opportunities that every class, particularly our seniors, are going to be able to have an incredible experience this year before they graduate. Great. Ms. Badger, should I take questions now, or you're on mute?
Do you want everybody to go first, or would you rather take questions after each section? It's up to you, really.
Yeah. Why don't we have all the constituency go, and then we can answer some questions, because that way we'll build some momentum on that. All right.
Okay. So then, Ms. Daves.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Miss Daves. I'm the UFT chapter leader. I'm basically the equivalent of what, Shivali and Mr. Shaffron are, but for the staff. First of all, I have to say that the most common emotion I've heard from staff at the start of the year was excitement. Excitement to be back in their classrooms with their students. We were very, very successful at remote learning, but there's a special connection between student and teacher and student that is really hard to replicate in the remote environment. And parents, I want to thank you for giving us the gift of your children. It brings us so much joy to teach each and every one of them every day. Some things UFT has been working on. The UFT helped AP Prabhu develop a staff handbook for 2021. That's something that we have never had. It has guidance for all teachers, but is also very, very helpful for our new teachers to learn the ropes around here. And we've had some changes due to COVID, so it's good for all teachers. The UFT has a group called the Consultative Committee that meets monthly with the principal. That committee is in the process of being formed, and meetings will be scheduled shortly. I've also attended in our 10 school days, 3 meetings with the UFT, 2 for chapter leaders in Manhattan and 1 for all chapter leaders in the city. The UFT has also been working out some safety guidelines for the laboratory due to because of COVID protocols. And then last week I hosted a workshop after school for teachers with a guest speaker from the UFT on the topic of certification. There were quite a few questions about CTLE, which is after school professional development that teachers have to do to retain certification. And the representative that came was very helpful in answering teacher questions. And I've also been helping members on an individual basis with questions surrounding payroll, healthcare, and other UFT related matters. And that is my report.
I can, Ms. Maggio, did you want students to go next?
Oh, I'm muted. The agenda has parents, but you can totally go next, Shivali. We're down for it.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Shivali, Student Union President, which is Stuyvesant Student Government. First of all, thank you, Principal Yu, for giving us the chance to give these updates. We're really excited with everything that we've been doing in the Student Union. I also just want to say, as a student, it's been so great being back in the building, seeing our friends, our teachers, administrators. It's been truly an exciting experience and a great change from last year. So students, what we've been doing over the past few months has really been facilitating a smooth transition from virtual year into the in-person year. Like Ms. Daves, we created a handbook for students, maps guiding them around the school building, but also the area around Stuyvesant. So places to eat, places to visit during freeze or lunch periods, and then general STI advice that we worked on with the Big Sibs who support underclassmen in transitioning into Stuyvesant. Another big part of STI that we really wanted to replicate and bring back this year was extracurriculars. So a really big part of our focus has been the clubs and publications that make STI STI. We started rechartering clubs over the summer. Right now we have, I think, above 150 clubs rechartered. So anything from like media clubs to food clubs, publications. I know Ms. Maggio leads like the environmental club and the theater community. So anything your child would like to do at STI, they have the opportunity to do it through STI activities. We also hosted the Club Pub Fair last week, which went really, really well. We had, I think, 120 clubs presenting over 3 days, and I think over 1,000 students coming. It was a really great experience. Everything went safe, everything went smoothly. It was a good opportunity for clubs to visit and talk to new club leaders, but also just make friends with people who have similar interests to them. So huge shout out to everyone who helped out with that, including teachers, administrators, and student volunteers. That was a very exciting opportunity and something we really missed having last year. And then other than that, yeah, we've just been answering questions, helping students guide themselves back into an in-person year, adjusting academically. And then we are also selling STI merch right now. So if any students are watching, any teachers, administrators who want to buy merch, we sell that every day after school, hoodies and stickers. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Okay, Ms. Chaffron, all you.
That's my turn. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm Alex Chaffron. I'm a co-president of STI PA. So we have been incredibly busy as the other constituencies. We had just had our fall elections where we had and this is in addition to our regular spring election. So this was mainly for the freshman positions as well as for the position of parent at large, and we had 24 candidates just for those several roles, which was phenomenal. It's just a really great level of engagement. We are really lucky to have a wonderful fundraising committee that is full steam ahead, and the annual appeal letters went out. Parents are started their contributions. This is one of the core deliverables for us, so we can fund a lot of things that our school needs. So again, any parents who are listening and didn't donate yet, that's the call. It's that bell that is ringing. Please do. Our appropriations team just reached out to both staff and students who've submitted or who had any approved projects from both the this past year and the previous cycles that are still outstanding. So if you are among those who've gotten their email with a reminder, please make sure there are some deadlines for you to use the money. The funds do have an expiration date. And we also, as part of a initiative of our kind of focusing on things this year, we focused on several new subcommittees. So one subcommittee that we formed is the Financial Operations Subcommittee. And that committee is actually focusing on reviewing what and how we operate as an organization and looking and making sure further that we continue improving and making our processes more reliable and more audit proof. And another thing that is in scope is a really good partnership that we continue forming with school administration and alumni association, and actually looking at various funding needs and across the board, seeing how we can properly allocate funds across multiple pools and making sure that we really make every effort to find the ways to fund the right projects, but be strategic and thoughtful about it. Another committee that we just formed, a subcommittee that we formed in the beginning of this year, is Technology PA Committee. That committee is actually already at work as looking at the ways how to potentially organize hybrid meetings, what technology we need, what do we need to rent, what do we need to buy, how do we do it. So we kind of started moving that forward already, and we're hoping that we'll get some findings and maybe we can test it, and then we'll bring it back to the SLT, collectively working with the school administration. Our Inclusive Learners Committee that actually was formed it was a subcommittee that was formed last year. It's a subcommittee of parents and guardians that with children with IEPs and 504s. We actually have the co-chairs of that subcommittee are going to continue working with the school administration, and it's really exciting spending some time. So Ms. Pedrick and Dina, and we know that there's a new social worker that we can partner with. So that's terrific. We really thank for helping us forward. One of the goals for us this year is to actually have PA contribute more in the support of independent research. So we've already reached out to some key contacts from school side, and we would like to see how we can help with both additional opportunities and help from parents who are in the field and any other ways. So we're starting those conversations. Our college PA committee already built their plan for this year to supplement the great work that the college office is already doing. So there's an event on October 4th, which definitely will be helpful to seniors about the college app and kind of looking at it all together from multiple aspects. But so that is taking place. We had several really successful events, even just over the course of the previous month. One of them was an in-person parent meetup in the Rockefeller Park next to Stuyvesant. Dina, Principal Youth, huge thank you for taking your Saturday afternoon and joining us. We had probably close to 200 parents. It was remarkable to see, and we are searching for volunteers, and we actually getting quite a lot of raised hands. So one of the things that we've done this year is we're using the Google form for the volunteer interest, and that's been working really, really well. And last but not least, I wanted to mention that we are planning to have Spring Feast this year in some, yet again, probably creative shape and form. And we already had our first kickoff meeting yesterday. There are a lot of new people that are joining, and so we're really excited to move this forward. So we know it will have to be yet another creative solution. So I think we're ready for it. Thank you.
Is there questions for any of the constituencies? Ms. Zhang?
First of all, I would like to say that in the past year, Mr. Yu done a very great job. I attended the last PTA meeting, the PA meeting, and heard that Mr. Yu promote a new promote party. I think that in the 2019, the SLT contribute in setting the homework policy, which is 1 hour for the AP and half an hour for the regular class. I believe the SLT members would like to contribute more in those policy, setting up or promotion. And then the second thing is I think the homework policy is not the problem. The problem is like some certain teacher will not follow the policy. I think the school needs to adjust how the teacher follow the policy, give out the homework to the student. The 30-minute homework or the 30-minute homework or 60-minute homework should not be set up. We should not use the timer to measure that whether the homework is enough for to cover the class. We also need to make sure the homework is cover all the curriculum, and we had to make sure that we had to make sure we had to make sure that the homework is cover all the curriculum, and we had to focus on the quality, not the quantity. The third thing is we care about the student mental health. I believe they need to have some time to done something outside, like a sport or club. Like my son, he joined the frisbee club, and also he wants to join the swimming. Need that, the young children, they need that. But we had to make sure the teacher mindful to give out the student correct amount of the homework. Last year, people complain about the mental health because the students stay home. Now everybody go back to the school, and I can tell my son they love to go back to the school. So I think the problem from last year is solved. So I think I just want to say that we should not use the timer to adjust whether the homework is too much or too little.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Zhang.
Can I respond? I'd like to. So I appreciate them saying for your commentary. So let me start with some of the points that I can recall that you had made mention. Yes, the SLT in the past, from my understanding, worked in concert to develop the homework policy. My hope is that again, we'll continue to look at policies as necessary, but the administration and me as a principal in particular, we have to make decisions that we think are in the best interest of the school. The SLT is a consultative committee, and it would be ridiculous for me not to think about all the expertise that's here and to take that into consideration. However, in a year under these extraordinary circumstances, I made a decision along with the administration and working in concert with UFT, Ms. Daves, and really thinking about all the things that I learned and heard from a variety of all the constituency groups about what students experience. My focus is on students, as it should be for all of us. And so coming into this school year with all of the uncertainties, thinking about what we wanted to do, particularly around the reintegration of not only students, but staff, we made a decision that we thought was in the best interest of students, particularly around homework. Now, let me say about this in particular. The homework policy, you're right, is a hard thing to gauge as whether or not it's too much, not enough. The focus should be on quality, but we can't go immediately from one end to the other. So what we thought was thinking about it from the cumulative standpoint for students. Students on average have 6 instructional periods. So if we calculated it at 30 minutes, that's 3 hours of homework each night. because one of the things that makes Stuyvesant such an extraordinary place is that kids are after school. They're participating, whether it's in clubs and pubs. So thinking about it, our school day normally ends at 3:35. Kids are usually going to be here until about at least 5. Many kids are going to travel another hour or 2 hours, may not get home till 7. We wanted to think about the overall balance of their experience. And so thinking about from a cumulative standpoint, not only from an individual day, but from an entire week and then throughout 180 days, we thought that that would at least give us an opportunity to gauge, again, how we can continue to think about the student experience without losing sight of the academic rigor. Now, what I'm saying is this is a hard lift on our staff. And I am really proud about the staff trying to think about ways that they have to adjust their curriculum to think about what type of work should be assigned. There is no blueprint for this either. It's going to require that there's conversation, because what may take one student 20 minutes might take another student an hour. So these are ways that we have to gauge, again, what may or may not be working. I've spoken to different students, and again, some students are saying they're managing really well, other students are not. So this is how we have to continue to work with our staff, work with students and families to see what we're seeing in a year that's full of transition. It's not going to be, completely different, immediately. It's going to take some time, and it will take some time to work with teachers as they're also having to make adjustments around their curriculum and what it means to think about 30 minutes of work, but more importantly, not the 30 minutes, but the quality of the work. What's going to be the benefit for students? And it's also going to be an adjustment for students and really thinking about going back to managing their time, because commute is a huge factor in thinking about how they figure out what they can do in addition to all the extracurricular things that we know they want to do. So it is a work in progress, and it's going to require multiple conversations, which again, why we're also building on with our authentic connections to have the high achieving survey, which we're looking to administer in October, so that we can continue to develop different ways of understanding what's going to be the optimal experience. What I will say is this: we are focusing on quality. We are focusing on the conversations that need to be had. Again, I believe most of our teachers, if not all, are trying to assign work that they think is going to be beneficial for students and trying to get through the curriculum. I also am very aware that students are going to go above and beyond. They're going to study beyond probably the 30 minutes or more. And it's going to be one of which where we're trying to gauge for 3,300 plus students. It won't be perfect, but it's a starting point. And then we'll continue to go back with the SLT. This is why, just thinking about the constituency groups, the different updates, we're trying to think about how we're crafting a way in which all of our constituency groups are working in concert, so that the student experience and the overall school will continue to be the type of place that we all, I think, believe in.
I just want to remind that like a AP history or the AP Europe history, AP US history, I think for the student, they will need like more than half an hour to read before they're doing the homework. So I would like to say like 30 minutes, like it's not enough for the AP.
Okay. Well, what I'll respond with this is this: research doesn't, again, based upon the research, looking at about the quantity, I think on average is about 90 minutes to about 90 minutes to 2 hours. So with ours, assuming that most of our teachers offer 30 minutes of homework, we're above that. And that is something that we're going to have to adjust to in terms of getting through the entire curriculum. But I believe wholeheartedly with our staff is able to do that and thinking about the quality of the work. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like just yet, but we'll find out. And at the end of the year, just like we did last year, I think our students will continue to perform. We don't know yet until we go through it, but what I am, completely on board with is that we are thinking about the cumulative effect. And I heard enough last year to know that I think this is the right decision, at least for this year, and we'll reassess.
Okay, great, thank you.
Ms. Daves?
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to add some context to that decision about moving the AP homework limit from 60 minutes down to 30 minutes. As this year is a very special year, it's a very different year. We are in the building, but COVID is still out there. Science says that one of the ways to keep your immune system strong is to sleep. And this year we need our students to sleep. So we can certainly reevaluate this policy at the end of the year, as Principal Yu said, but I think part of the rationale for this policy is to make it so our students can stay healthy and continue to come to school for the rest of the year.
Mr. Henderson?
I would just remind students again that when teachers give homework, we do not know how long it takes. And we cannot, and we think we know what the value of it is, but we don't always. So if you can do the scary thing and say to your teacher, hey, this thing you thought was, a half hour's worth of work was actually an hour's worth of work, or this homework you gave me was actually particularly useful in helping me understand this thing, it would help, both in terms of like quality and quantity, so that we can get to know how long it actually takes to do things.
Does anybody have Sophie Zhang? Sophie's, yeah, I think I said that right.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, that's correct. Okay, I just want to bring this to everyone's attention. Okay, students who scored 98 on the AP final exam, so overall AP grade is a 98, but when he took College Board AP, the same subject, and he scored 3, he only scored 3. So from my past experience, and because my daughter graduated from Stuyvesant in 2016, and also have a lot of friends whose kids also had experience studying in Stuyvesant. But normally, if they have an AP score above of 95 or above, they don't even need to go to tutoring service. They can get a 5 or at least a 4 on their College Board AP exam. So I would like the school to look at this aspect to maybe to get some data to see how many students who actually have a score of 95 or above, but when they take the AP College Board AP exams, they actually only scored like 3 or something. I think this is something we need to look at it, because I think everyone agrees, since our students come to Stuyvesant and we really don't want to sacrifice the quality of education. And also some parents are talking about if they need to go outside to get some tutoring service. So yeah, this is what I want to contribute to this meeting. I just want, to raise kind of awareness, to this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zhang. Okay, Dr. Ned?
I just wanted to say that I've got 3 AP sections this year, and the AP courses are hard, but I found that like forcing myself to be really strategic about the kinds of assignments they need to prepare for the exam has been helpful to me, because it's also reduced my workload. And that's sort of an added bonus for the staff to sort of throw that in there. But I think it helps the students too. I mean, some of them want more work, which I find kind of amusing, but for the most part, it's good to be strategic. And I think it's beneficial to the school community. I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Dr. Ned. Do we have Patrick Sunwoo? What's up?
I'm just going to say something really quick regarding homework and APs and whatnot. I would just urge the students that don't be afraid to advocate for yourselves, because you matter as well. Your voices matter as well. And we really do care about you, and we want you to know that we're here for you. If you need resources beyond what's given, please ask. The worst thing that we can say is we're not sure, but it's always good to ask.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We just ran out of time, so we're gonna move on to the next agenda item, because you know how much I like to be out on time. So Principal Yu, I think you have some PSAT, SAT updates for us.
Yep, I'm gonna actually hand it over to Dr. Haber, who runs our PSAT and /SAT.
Thank you, Principal Yu. We have scheduled and plan to administer the PSAT on October 13th for all of the 10th and 11th graders. That means that over 1,700 students in the building simultaneously, and at the same time, it's an instructional day, and we must also have plans for the 9th and 12th graders. And there are challenges with making sure this can work with personnel, safety. I mean, essentially, we want to offer the best possible experience for the student testing, the most stress-free experience, and at the same time, consider safety and also fidelity to the test, that we follow all the rules that the College Board lays out, that we do. That's always the goal. We have a model. We did offer the SAT to the 11th graders last year, and very successful administration. But again, the numbers were not the numbers that we're talking about with the 1700. So, and there's an added wrinkle that we received a memorandum that we are to offer the SAT to those 12th graders who haven't in the past taken the SAT. There are very, very few 12th graders that haven't taken the SAT. So that is, at this point, we're looking at a later date in October 28th. But at this point, we will need to determine if that's feasible to have another administration, and also if it's necessary. And this whole past experience here, 4 administrations, 1 student one time, 0 students another time when we scheduled the SAT. The last 2 times, 1 student came, and the other time nobody came. Out of those that when they mandated again for Stuyvesant High School to offer the SAT. I would also tell you that we will have communications. Ms. Ingram will communicate to students and parents on Friday, and I to the staff on the details of what the days will look like, whether or not we'll follow the route that we've had in the past, whereas we've had the morning, a morning administration of the PSAT, and then in the afternoon we had very short classes. We'll let you know as we gain more information and more guidance regarding this matter. I'm sure there's maybe questions. I'm glad to answer any questions to the best I can.
Can I chime in really quickly on this, just as an add? So, again, extraordinary year with trying to think about all the different factors, from staffing to ensuring that, again, we're following as many safety protocols and having all the students back in the building. It's already a heavy lift non-COVID circumstances. It's an even heavier lift, when we had those circumstances. So as Dr. Haber said, he is being generous in the sense that, like, there's a lot of complexity here in trying to make sure that we can administer the PSAT on the 13th, which is on our calendar right now for the 10th and 11th graders. So again, I know there's probably, questions. We're trying to solidify everything as soon as we can to be able to make sure that we have what we can for not only the 10th and 11th graders, but again, the 9th and 12th graders, and then being able to do this as smoothly as possible. And then finally, just going back with the SAT, again, we're trying to figure out what our options are. We do want to make sure that seniors who have not taken the SAT have an opportunity. We don't want to create any obstacles, but we also have to try to balance that out in relation to the rest of the school and what that school day would look like. And so we're seeing if there are options, and again, trying to get more precision on total number of seniors who have not had an opportunity to take the SAT or who have not taken the SAT, so we can ensure that they at least have the opportunity to move forward, in their college process.
Thank you very much, Principal Yu. Does anybody else have any questions for Dr. Haber, Principal Yu, about SAT, PSAT testing? Okay, so then we have 2 commenters who are present in the viewing room. Oh, all right, so sorry. The last item on the agenda we have already covered, because we've already set the dates for the next meeting and chosen the facilitators and the secretary. So we have gone through the agenda for tonight. We have 2 commentators, I don't know, people who signed up to comment. The first one is Rima Kogan. Dina,
I
we let-
she's in the room and she's unmuted.
thank you so much. Welcome, Ms. Cogan.
Hi, I just wanted to ask if there was any kind of plan in terms of allowing the children to take their masks off periodically, maybe while they're in the classroom, because like my son takes a subway to the school and back and he ends up being masked for like 10 hours nonstop, which is really difficult.
I can chime on that. So the policy right now is that, you know, we are encouraging students to take advantage of their free periods and lunch to leave the building and to take off the mask. We're trying to be as safe as possible. Taking of the mask off is only, you know, for lunch when you're eating. Listen, I know that sometimes kids will go to the bathroom. They may want to pull it down, wash their face, do the things they need to do. But in the classroom, mask should stay on. Again, we want to make sure we're following all the layers of precautions and approaches. But we do encourage students, if they need a break, particularly during the free and lunch periods, to take advantage of going outside, catching some air, and being able to take off their mask. Because once you're outside the building, there's a lot more flexibility.
Okay, thank you.
And then our second commentator, I don't know, is Lily Wang.
Lily, you can also unmute.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have anything to say. I'm just listening.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was lovely to hear from you. And ladies and gentlemen, that puts us at the end of an agenda and 15 minutes early, just saying. If there's nothing else, I'm down to like make a motion to adjourn. Do I do that? Is that the right phrasing? All right, well, Mr. Henderson, second.
Wait, second.
Yes? Who said wait?
Second.
Oh, yes, I thought you said wait. I was like, what are you doing? Awesome. Vote, yeah, consensus, we good?
Yes.
Everybody have a wonderful day off. I mean, a wonderful month. We'll see you in October. I don't know what's wrong with me. Leave me alone.
Commenter.
Commenter. I can't. I don't know, like the vocab.